Hey there. I've done everything I could to forestall getting this Trident maple dug. I'm not messing around anymore, so I've prepared my tools. I've got my pot and soil in the back, and we're gonna take this and I'll probably show you another couple of projects I want to knock out today. I did a video yesterday, Saturday, or Friday rather. What day is it? Well, anyway, I did another video yesterday, which was Saturday, and we'll see how this goes. I want to take this off right in this area, but because I'm having several thoughts about what I want to do with this as far as planting it, I'm going to cut it higher and then work with that. So I don't quite cry when I have to cut trees down like this, but ouch. Yes, I know you say I'm a digging genius. Nah, this tree was dug and replanted several times as it's been growing, so the roots are pretty good as far as being contained. I'm not going to dispense with all of the soil around this. I kind of like keeping some of the, I guess you can say, indigenous soil or soil the plant's been growing in to remain on the roots. And at this point I don't have any distance really to transport this, so it's not an issue. But anyway, see, even as a tree this tall, that looks good. So I'll think about what I want to do. It is early March. This tree is still dormant. Some of the buds are starting to push, but even stuff like this, with the proper care, you can root as a dormant piece of cutting. And even as the leaves come out, you could take the cutting, strip all of the leaves, strip it all off, don't leave any leaves, and then you could do your cutting that way too. So I mean, sometimes you get pushed for time, and you got to do what you find that you can do to make ends meet. So I've got my little garden cart loaded up. And like I said, I've got other projects. I've got 8 holes in this shipping crate that I want to plug up with trees. I've got a Japanese red maple in it now. I'm going to put some Tridents in it, elms, and who knows, Chinese bird plum. Things that can stand a little bit of drought, because as you see, there's little or no reserve here. This is about equal to a 10-inch bonsai pot. So, you know, it's got just as much soil as any bonsai, but these are plants that I'm trying to grow. So I'll have to just make sure I keep a good, steady flow of moisture on this. One of the projects I want to do today, which entails carving up a rock or two. I'm going to take this, I call this my A-frame, Trident maple, and I'm going to split it right through that direction, leaving this part onto this section, and I'll have 2 trees, and then my intent is to lean those up against rocks and see what happens. I may just dig that. That's a Japanese green maple that crossed with a red maple, and you can see the stems are pretty red on that, which I air layered out last year, and I took some cuttings while they were dormant, and they're in the back looking pretty good by all estimates. So I may take that, and then I want to carve on this thing and perhaps repot it. But anyway, the major thing I want to do on this is carve it, get rid of the very extended dead wood. Like out here is really dead. There's a live vein back here even to this point, and this branch is well alive. So for right now, that'll probably occupy my day, but nevertheless, I shall be busy. So let's see if we can get this thing figured out, and then I'll see my next project. Another project is I want to work this juniper. That's a Juniper parsoni, Parsons juniper, and I've got some thoughts already in mind of what I want to do with that. So at any rate, let's see what we can do. Hold on. Okay, I've got the maple tree sitting in the intended pot, and at this point I'm not really thrilled about cutting the roots, and kind of anticipating that the pot may be small. I have other pots available. I'll have to cut them down real quick, and I've got plenty of soil available. So let's see if we can get this thing situated. Got a pretty nice Navarre. Mycorrhizome. So now what can I do till next year? Well, I can water it, I can fertilize it if it survives. So this is the Nabari, that root there, that root, and that. So it's a kind of a three-pronged root system, and that's nice because it works right along with the movement of the trunk. Larger root here coming this way, and then you have the two balancing off on the other side. So that's pretty good. And again, I'll look at this to see what back buds, what comes out to fill in this area. Now that the tree has been disturbed, these spike branches will probably not happen on this tree now. It'll probably put out long runners. Most of the time these spikes start dividing just as soon as they emerge, whereas your normal shoot like this one, now it's off of a spike, but you see it's not really dividing like the spikes do. So that's probably what I'll get up here now that I've disturbed the tree. This came out after I cut the tree back and messed with it in 2020. So that's what you got right there. Anyway, and don't be talking about my makeshift pot. It is not makeshift. I made it, I shifted it around, yes. The first time I did it was makeshift, but I know what I'm doing now. It's a pot. It holds the tree and the soil in place. All I needed was just an inch or two more. You say, why didn't you cut it deeper? Because I didn't want it deeper. I wanted it to sit lower in the pot, but the roots forced me. The roots made me do it. The roots caused me to raise it up, and this top part is wider than the bottom. These growing pots naturally are wider at the top than they are at the bottom. This pot and this pot are almost the same size, but I cut this one higher, and so the roots fit in this better than it was fitting in that pot. And now that I've got the extra lip here, I got the extra little space I needed to give the new roots a chance to emerge and to go somewhere anyway. So this is what we've got on old spike here. And this tree, I had it designed to have this branch. It was coming way out here. The tree was probably 2 years younger, and I had a pine tree cut down, and the tree man broke this off. I mean, it was 30-40 feet away from where the pine tree was, but they didn't care. And I told them, watch that tree right there. I guess he had to watch it to see that he was running over it and dropping logs on it. I'm not mad at those men. They got that tree out of here like I wanted, and I expected damage because they don't know, they don't care. And so if I cared, I wouldn't have hired them. Kind of crazy, isn't it? Well, hey, you got to expect the eggshell to break. Do I need to go and say making omelets and baking cakes and all that stuff? Nah. But anyway, I got more projects. I'm stalling just so I won't have to do them. So anyway, I'm going to water this up. But speaking of projects, these are some of the projects I took yesterday. The little 2 upper branch Trident maple was a cutting that I took and planted it in the ground right next to this one, which was an air layer off of another air layer, and it, I guess 3 years it was in the ground, and so it has the little spike on the right side of it there, as we're looking at it, is way down at the air layer, and then you got the other branch there. So I like that. That little knob at the top obviously needs to be carved out, and that's just a seedling that I grew and just needed a tree in a pot to work with in the future. But that's just some of the things that I dug up and worked with yesterday. I'm planting some of my vegetable seeds in these things, and that container right there has my lactobacillus in it, and I'm going to put it in that water can and sprinkle it on these newly planted seeds, and that's going to help it germinate. So, and those are my vegetable seeds, my mesclun mix salad, my bok choy, bell peppers, and other things, you know, herbs and such, parsley, celery, you name it. But anyway, some of the things that I did yesterday, I got them spread out all over the joint. I don't even know where they are. So let's see. Here, let's go over here. I'll show you. I did a video yesterday and it makes me dizzy. I'm sorry. I don't know if I'll publish it, but it was showing all of the projects I was going to do. Chinese bird plum on a rock. I've been growing that from a cutting for probably 4 years now, just watching it, kind of lightly directing it, and I partially wired it yesterday. That is a popcorn tree, Chinese tallow, and it was a crazy affair, and I just put the sawzall on it. It has some roots on it, and cut up the stump. So let's see if we can find some of these squirrels rooting around in here. So let's see what we can find. Alrighty. That tree right there was in the same growing area up front as the tree that I just dug and showed you that I potted up, and except it was right across the way from it. And so I dug this yesterday and cut some branches off, cut some back. That also was just a seedling that I dug yesterday. Japanese maple. It's a green maple, but it's crossed with red, so you can see the red branches, twigs. That was an air layer that I had in the ground. I dug and put some wire on it, so hopefully it will show up and show off. Let's see here. I made that a few days ago. Just a Trident maple rock planting. And you've seen that in another video. It was a sold tree. It was an address issue, so I just canceled the order and kept on moving. And now it didn't give me any pleasure in canceling someone's order, but I can only do so much. And but anyway, this was recent. That was previous. Oh yeah, don't let me forget to water that tree I just potted up, okay? Remind me. And we're walking. You say, why you got a refrigerator out back? I'm a hungry man. I gotta eat to keep my energy up. No, it's just a storage unit now. This was an air layer also. You can see the base of it calloused over, but at some point it took root, and it's doing relatively well. And what I did here was fuse in some, or grafted in some seedlings. So this is going to be like a group planting. This is attached at the base, and these 3 trees in the back, I just put those there. So we have that, and we have this, which was a seedling I grew in the ground and dug it yesterday. This dug yesterday, and if you've seen any of my video on a garden tour or whatever, this is at the walkway in front of the house. So is this. Well, I should say it was from the walkway. It's not there anymore. And I've got plans for this right here, so that's why it's still out here, kind of hanging out in space. I've never seen a tree as pretty as me. I mean, that looks like that. So unusual, odd. This is another from the walkway in front of the house, and again, I've got plans for this armature. So all dug yesterday, potted up right here, and we'll see what happens. And one of the jobs I want to do today is get to that maple, that elm, that big trunk right there. And of course, like I said, until the middle of this month, March, I am likely to continue to dig trees, getting smaller as the month wanes. I just set this in this bucket to keep this elm as moist as I can, and I'll cycle it in and I'll cycle it out of the bucket, but especially because there are no lips up here. This is kind of cascade, and the root is way up high here. Excuse me. And I've actually got this mounded to keep that moist, and so I'm watering it from the bottom. And I just wired this up a couple of days ago. It had been potted up already, but it needed to be wired and cut back some. So, and these are 2 air layers that I took off of trees up by the walkway in front of the house last year, and of course I'll do something with it soon enough. And I'm really liking that root over rock sarissa there. Yep, it's looking pretty good, but it's having a little hard time. I'm going to have to do something with these red cedars. Well, at any rate, this tree right here, the I think if you can remember the first Trident maple I showed on that bench on the back that had the movement in it and all of the little arms on it, and I said I did not see one like it before. This actually is an air layer I had on the top of it, and it had one little pathetic, pitiful root coming off of it, and I managed to save the root. Sorry about all the movement. And that's the root right there, which I need to come back in here and make sure it stays moist. But anyway, what I did was take 3 trees and graft it in to the cambium of that base there where it started callousing over. So we'll see if it takes. If it does, fine. If it doesn't, well, I'll do it again some other time, because I know it'll work. And why wouldn't it work? Because it's simply too late in the season. Could it be me? Of course not. Yeah, it could be me too. Maybe I don't know what I'm doing, but it could work. But anyway, those are some of the projects I dug yesterday. And now I'm going to take this and get it watered up. I'm going to raise that. If I like the way it looks, then I'll put some wire on the top of this and go from there. That's a Chinese bird plum, a cutting that I put together probably 3-4 years ago now, just basically watching it, because it was in a place that it gets watered, and I just come in and pull the weeds out of the pot periodically. But other than that, I've let it grow just the way it was. So anyway, I'm working. See you later. Thanks.